Hello, welcome to My Milkstone's DIY breast milk jewelry step-by-step follow-through. Here's part 1, preserving your breast milk. Step 1, get a double boiler, put some water in the bottom pan, and heat it up on medium-high. If your milk is frozen, you want to make sure that you heat it up a little bit so it melts, and you will just place it in there for a couple minutes. Next step, cut a strip of parchment paper and make sure you have enough space just because you will be putting your preservation paste on that. Once you have your milk in liquid form, you are going to get your 5 milliliter syringe and get 5 milliliters out one time and another time. So in total, you will have 10 milliliters of your breast milk into the top pan of your double boiler. As you see, this is the first time as I disperse the 5 milliliters. I'm going to do this one more time. So in total, I get 10 milliliters. For step 2, you're just going to turn it up a bit onto medium-high, and you are going to make sure that this starts heating up. As you can see, I'm just testing it out here. Right here, I just have a rubber spatula and my preservation powder. It's nice and heated up. And right here, I'll show you, I'll zoom up a little bit, that the fat will start separating from the rest of the components of the breast milk. And that is your sign of when you want to pour in that preservation powder. And I just pour it all along the breast milk. There's no special form, just make sure you get it all out. With the rubber spatula, you're then going to solidify that into one liquid unit. So make sure that you get all those bumps and lumps in there. You're going to make sure that it's just one solid unit of liquid. You're then going to begin waiting a couple minutes and just testing it out and see how your preservation liquid will then soon turn into a paste. After a couple minutes, this is what it looks like. It's still liquid form, but you can see that the sides I'm able to scrape up just a tad bit. Then you're going to wait another 5-10 minutes. As you can see, that liquid is starting to form into somewhat of a paste, but it still needs more time. If it still drips, still needs more time. You want to make sure that you get it like a clay mask texture. And right here, I just kind of play around with it so that it gets a little more heated up. And because this video is sped up, you'll see that it is now into that clay mask texture that we're looking for, and it's into one little solid ball, as you see. That's exactly what you want. You can turn off that heat. Step 3, you are then going to spread that preservation paste onto your parchment paper. And I just thinly spread it. After, fold the top of the preservation fold, and then just what I do is just kind of flatten it out with the mortar and pestle that you will be using later. And then also something I do is just write the date and time so that you know 48 hours has passed. After you have let your preservation paste let dry for 48 hours. You're going to put that into your mortar and pestle and create a fine powder form. The finer the better, because this is exactly what you're going to be putting into your resin, and that resin is going to dry and become your jewelry. So make sure you crunch that up as best as you can. If you don't have a mortar and pestle, you can put that into a plastic baggie. Grab a hammer, spoon, something very solid so that you can pulverize that as best as you can. Because I am using a customer's order as an example for this video, that's why you'll see the order number on this. I just fold this corner of the parchment paper once I put the powder on the paper, and then I open that baggie up. It's best to open that baggie up way before, just because it's a little hard to do it with one hand. And then you pour that powder into that baggie. So once you turn over your instructions for part 2, casting your preserved breast milk into jewelry, you will see that you do get 2 measuring cups provided. You are going to put 5 milliliters of each A and B into your designated cups. And right here you'll see that I'm now pouring part B into part A. And you'll see that I do scrape up every little bit because you want to make sure they are equal parts going into one single cup. The reason why I put part B and the reason why I'm pouring it part B into part A is because part B is a little more runnier and part A is thicker because that's the resin. Anyway, once you do that, step 2 says to stir with stick slowly for 2.5 minutes. And you'll see right here it's sped up. You want to make sure that it's in solid form, which is resin, and that's mixed very well. Then this is your preserved breast milk that you will get. You can add as much or as little, but you do want to keep in mind that it does go a long way once you add a little bit, but you can keep adding as much as you want. You will also want to add in your shimmers and glitters and whatnot into here. And so anyway, I sped this up. This is my preferred look. I want it to be white enough. And with the stick, I just drop a few drops into there. Nothing crazy, and I just make sure it domes a little bit. So I stop where it domes. And you'll see later in the video, I stopped where, right here, I just stopped where it just kind of domed like a little hill. And that's it, so it doesn't overspill. I do the same thing for the ring. The ring, this one is just way smaller, so I literally just need one little drop. Right here, you will also want to make sure you add any final little flakes or shimmers because they do tend to sink down. A quick tip is that you can get a lighter and for a couple milliseconds just run that over your resin because that will take out all of the air bubbles that come or rise up after you set your resin. And you'll want to do this immediately after you're setting your resin because it tends to dry up. And then here you can see I do it on the necklace. I'm so sorry for the bad quality. There you go, a couple seconds, and the bubbles are gone. It's a little hard to see on camera. Thank you so much for watching. Please let dry for 24 hours and make sure to share your final results with us on social media.